Welcome Rockstars, thank you for joining me. I'm going to be recording a little bit of news, Pokemon Go news specifically. MLP, there's no news, and back to my After Dark sessions. I will be continuing those soon. I will be editing one and I'll be uploading one, which is the one that I probably got the cold from. But I will continue on looking at new ideas and new opportunities. I may visit a couple of places I've been to already, but I wanted to do new things before going to the old places first. Give myself a chance to explore different places. Hopefully they'll be agreeable to it, but I'll try my best. Anyways, I will read to you recent news. I'm just going to give a summary for some of these because at this point the shiny Cubone and shiny Ponyta is done. Unfortunately, I was trying to get a shiny Ponyta, but it didn't work out. I was working hard last night trying to find it. I was going to do some today, but I wound up going to the gym and missed the time. I was going to actually go to a spot where they had multiple spawns, but now that being said, they are still out there. It's just trying to catch something in the wild that's shiny, that's not a push like that is recently. It's going to be very rare. So just like with everything, if you really want a Ponyta or a Cubone, especially a shiny Marowak, a Lohan Marowak, just do as much as you can, check as much as you can. But at this point, I would just check and release. Just unless you're really looking for the experience, I just check and release, and just hopefully you get the one in the. I'm not sure what the odds are, but it's a lot higher now. Anyways, on to other things. Blast Burn. It will be the new. Okay, Blast Burn is going to be announced for Typhlosion. That's the new move for the next Community Day, which is coming on November 10th. Debating on if I should do this or not. I probably will. I have been attempting to make plans to go to Florida, although I haven't actually reached out yet to do those. So there's been a lot of things that have been jumbling up in the air that have been really inconsistent with schedule, and I got to take care of car and a few other things, and it's kind of blocking my attempts to try to go visit family and such, but I'll work with what I can. Anyways, so the new move is Blast Burn for Typhlosion. Cyndaquil Community Day, November 10th. On other news, you probably know about this already, the special t-shirts for Ingress. Now a lot of people are asking, what is it that's on these t-shirts? What are the symbols? Well, they're Ingress related items. They're like, unlike Pokemon Go, there's actually only 2 teams in Ingress. And you basically pick a team and then it's only red and blue. And you conquer territory for that team, and then the other one tries to take over territory. I played it a little bit, but I didn't go too far into it because there's a lot involved in the type of gameplay there's about. Now, if anybody's a big Ingress, please leave a comment, tell me more about the specifics. But if you can still download and play it if you want to. And I've tried that, and I find it difficult to flip between games, especially in AR games. If you're going to a spot and all the stops are mapped pretty much the same mapping, except the Ingress has a lot more. You're constantly having to go to one to the other, and then I did that with a couple other augmented reality games that were kind of trying to be like Pokemon Go, but it didn't quite work, and I just had to get rid of it. I just had to delete it because there's just too much involved because you have to go, like, you go to Pokemon Go, you spin it, and then you catch something, and you go back to Ingress, and then you do your thing, and then you go to the other one and do your thing. Like, no. That's why when some of the more popular titles come out, it's going to be interesting to see how many are going to jump into the new thing or stay with the old thing. I guess it really depends on where people are in their goals for the games. Everybody has particular goals in the game, even Pokemon Go. Not everyone wants to play the same. Some people just want to hit 40. Some want to get all shiny. Some want to just get their, crackerjack team for PvP. Others want to get the most experience or just be like the raid master type. Even with the dynamics of the game the way it is, people want to play the way they want to play it, and that's great. It's great. And I guess with PvP coming soon, they'll expand, and even with PvP, there'll be subsets. They'll be wanting to like have all fire types and just fight with that and do the best you can with fire types, or have your crack team of specific counters, or just high CP levels, whatever people want to do with their battles. It will be interesting to see how that comes to play, especially with like Shedinja, for instance. That's gonna have to get tweaked somehow. I don't know how they're gonna do it with the way Shedinja is in the show. They may just rebalance the stats and just leave it at that. It'd be a shame, but we'll see. Now, what's actually interesting with the news. Now, of course, with the community events coming up, the Stardust, you can get up to normal 4 times the amount of Stardust for Community Day. With the Star Piece 6 times, with Weather Boosted 7.5 times. So, if you're low on Stardust and you really want to rack it up, if you want to get that prized 1 million, 2 million mark, or for the hardcore players 10 million mark, this would be the time to do it. So if you pace yourself and you just grind and crank at it during the community day, you should be able to really luck out. Just make sure you have the star pieces well ahead of time and you time it just right. So I'd say get everything ready like 5-10 minutes before community day, and just get yourself positioned. Like if you're for YouTube streamers, probably like half an hour before. Just have everything set up, like your camera set up, have everything checked, synchronized, your video, your game. Make sure everything's working properly. You have batteries. You have a battery backup for both camera and your phone and everything else that you need to charge. You also know the dead zones in the area that you're planning to go to, because if you drop out internet, that's going to cause a delay. Know you're kind of like a mini waffle, where you know your routine. Even if you're filming, you have a certain routine of where you're going to and where you're not going to. And knowing the hotspots of where it's going to be a lot of people, where you want to avoid that. Because unlike normal Pokemon Go players, if you're a big YouTuber and you're trying to maximize your Stardust, I'm not saying avoid people, but if you know there's going to be cluster or crowded people here, here, and here, you'll want to try to circumnavigate, almost do circles around that area. And if you're bold enough to go through it, because as soon as you hit the clustered areas, you're going to get a lot of people wanting pictures, swapping information. They'll be promoting your channel, wanting to play, trade, etc. And that will detract from you. Now, I know you're going to be filming and doing content, but if you plan ahead and knowing exactly what you do, you could probably tailor it so that you could get everything you get done within the first 2.5 hours. And if you want to just hang out with people, or even afterwards, if you want to maximize, do your 3 hours the way you want to do it. Then we're like half an hour afterwards, you can go then hit those cluster points where you see a lot of people, because there'll still be some extra play time for people. Then you can just go through and do your handshakes, your promotions, you're doing your actual film, and then that way you're not stressing yourself out like, man, how can I do this without avoiding people, without upsetting people, but at the same time I want to play, I want to enjoy the game, and do what I do. If you plan out ahead of time, then you're good. And it doesn't hurt to have your closest family, friends, those that you trust, to kind of run interference. If you want to risk the bubbles and the groups, go in a cluster, and as soon as you hit that group, have your friends and family kind of do like a wedge attack, like a military wedge attack, where they go in like this, and you're in the back, and they go in and they spread out. So they kind of indirectly cause the crowd to kind of disperse a little bit. Then you could do your thing, and then once it clears out, you can collapse. And then if you keep doing that, then way everyone can enjoy the game. And it's not offensive, it's more defensive. It's just kind of playing the middleman in that sense. For for non-streamers, just people that are out on the go, maximize your time. Same thing. Now, one thing that I've seen happen in a lot of places, when you're playing, it's so easy to get people, the non-players, to ask, "Oh, what are you doing?" or "What's going on here?" And you could get distracted from it. Even when I'm streaming, there are a couple times where someone would start talking like, "Well, you don't want to just say, 'Hey, I'm in the middle of something, bye,' because that's kind of rude." But at the same time, you don't want to go into a half an hour conversation about what you're doing and kind of justifying and explaining yourself, because it's not really necessary. The best way, I guess, you could handle that, especially if you're a streamer, is saying, "Oh, I'm just streaming for a game, but I gotta move on because I gotta catch this." And if they can't say, "Oh, okay, good luck with that," say, "Sorry, if once I get finished, I'll talk to you later, but I'm kind of in the middle of something." And most people would understand that. Even if you don't specifically mention, if you just mention that, they'll understand that. So if you're really hurting for Stardust, this is definitely the way to go. Also, okay, on further news, Sinnoh stones are discovered in Pokemon Go network traffic. Now, it hasn't been seen yet, but basically what this means is they're priming for evolution for Gen 1 to Gen 4. Basically examples like Rhydon to Rhyperior, Magneton to Magnezone, Lickitung to Lickly, it's hard to pronounce that, Tangela to Tangrowth, Electabuzz to Electivire, Magmar to Magmortar, Eevee to Leafeon and Glaceon, Sneasel to Weevil, Togetic to Togekiss, so it gets even cuter, Yanma to Yanmega. You didn't think the Yanmas were even useful at that point. Gligar, Gliscor, Murkrow to Honchkrow, Kirlia to Gallade, which is the male version, opposite of Gardevoir, Mischievous to Mismagius, Piloswine and Mamoswine, which is relevant for being one of the top ice types, Dusclops to Dusknoir, Snorunt to Frostlass, interesting. Apom to Ambipom. I have been noticing there's been an increased spawn in that, so you can probably guess what's going to have evolutions if you see increased spawns in general just by playing. Rosalia to Roserade, Porygon 2 to Porygon Z, and Nosepass to Probopass. Now, obviously, in that list, you can see a lot that are relevant to what you want to, some that are must-catch much evolved, and others are like, when the time comes. I think the really big relevant ones, Rhyperior, definitely, Magnezone, Tangrowth might be. Don't know about Electivire. I have to check the stats on Electivire. Magmortar, possibly. Leafeon and Glaceon, obviously, because of the Eevees. Definitely Honchkrow. I'll have to see the stats on Gallade. I'm a Gardevoir fan, so I'm biased. But definitely Mamoswine. And Ambipom, I'll have to see how it filters out. Sinnoh stones don't exist in any of the core Pokemon games that were created by Game Freak. Recently, Pokemon games are known for a tendency to break the mold, introducing new evolution mechanisms and rules that were never seen before. Could the Sinnoh stones by Pokemon Go away? We're saying we're done with tradition, or is it just an item that will be purchasable, obtainable to help us complete our Sinnoh Pokédex in addition to evolving these Pokemon with their usual methods? Time will tell. They mentioned something about Roblox. I don't know how Roblox is involved in this. Yeah, so it's in the data traffic, so that means that more than likely the general synopsis is they're getting ready to push the Gen 1 to Gen 4 evolutions. That's what it is. I'm not going to hypothesize on a lot of that commentary that they have on Pokemon Go Hub, but if the traffic is updating, they're not going to update traffic unless they're specifically going to push something. So it looks like they're getting ready to roll out the new, more and more Gen 4. Probably within a week, if I had to make an educated guess. Now, I did take a look at Twitter, at Pokemon Go Twitter, and Niantic. Bullseye should show up in rate at which and Badoo is hatchable. Now, as far as I know, it's just those two, and it's just in those formats. In other words, you won't be able to catch them out in the wild, as far as I know yet. So Buzel would be as raid battle, and Budel or Budu poison and grass type and eggs. Now, further updates. Hope you guys got your shiny Gengars and pincers. That was a very interesting event. On to other news. The Stardust change was obviously updated, or downgraded, I should say, for 500 for 25 kilometers and 1500 for 50 kilometers. Personally, I feel that was. I understand they didn't want to give the amount they gave before the change, but that's such a low number. I would have at least given maybe like for 25k 2,000, and for 50k 7,500 possibly. That would have been a good number, but that's just what I would have picked. I don't know why they did the way they did. But it does show that when if you have the game off, actually powered off, like not the phone powered off, but the game application shut down. Now, that doesn't mean have the game running but have another app. See, a lot of people might be confused about this. I just say this means the game is running, right? It's active. You're actively playing. Now, doing this, it's still active. Now, because you might be doing other things, doesn't mean if as long as it's in the list of the apps, even if it's running in the background, it's still considered active. Now, I just hit close all, and that actually closes it. So if you hit this, no recent apps used, that's what you want to see to make sure that the game is actually closed. Because a lot of people think, oh, if it's not not in the actual screen, that's closed. No, it's actually running resident in the background. So you have to actually have it closed. Now, someone had asked me, do you have to force quit it? Well, that depends. Because if you pull up the apps section, even though I have it closed currently, I can still force quit it. Now, you don't necessarily want to get in a habit of doing that, because that can cause anomalies in the cache files that the client on the phone and the server can cause inconsistencies, and you might wind up creating more errors for yourself. But what this means is that there are still some resident files that are on your phone, but the app itself is not currently in an active state. It's not actually draining your battery, and more importantly, not transferring. I'll call it telemetry data for lack of a better term, but relevant game data to the server. What it's doing, though, it has a couple files that stay open in your phone, but aren't communicating with the server. So if you see it able to force quit, that doesn't mean that the app is running. It just means that there's some resident files on your phone that if you start the game up, it basically allows the game to come up quicker. Because if you force quit it and then you start the game up, it has to pull up the cache file and all the other small support files, and then the game file itself, and then it'll start communicating. So it has to go through the whole thing. But it just closing the app will keep those resident files running on the phone, but that won't cause an issue with the distance, because all that data is going to your whatever device, if it's an Android or Apple, to whatever appropriate amount of distance it's calculating based on the motion of the phone. And then that data then gets transferred to the Pokemon Go servers of how much distance they're being calculated. Now, I don't know about the terms of service of how that's regulated, of how it's crossing over from one device or one app, or it must be just data that's collected onto the device that, for instance, Fitbit could use, even though it's not, you can't use Fitbit to transfer the data over. But all these different apps and files can pull from that data for the motion. Every time the phone moves, it records the amount of distance, and then that data gets stored on the phone as a residential data that various apps can tap into. And the I don't know if it's an API or if it's a DLL, what the actual file is that's pulling this data, will access that file. And if people were wondering, well, why is turning the game off more accurate than keeping the game on and just walking? It's because the API, I just say API because I don't know what the actual software that's using to collect this data is, going straight to that data source. It's not calculating the data. Pokemon Go presumably has code in there that will calculate the data separately in the game. It doesn't necessarily use the distance on the phone. It just uses the distance that it itself calculates. So it uses its own code versus using a source. So as you can tell, the source is resident on the phone. It's a lot quicker to just say, get this data, send it out, versus get this data on this local app, crunch it, figure out for XYZ of latency, lag, skip, whatever the coding. I haven't looked at the code, so I don't know the code behind it. And then ship it out. So there's a little bit of a difference between where it's pulling from. So that's why it's a little more efficient to turn the game off, because if you have the game on, it pulls the data into the game and then crunches it through the game code and then spits it out. So even though it's active, it doesn't trigger that code until the game's off. So those resident files will say, okay, game blah 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 running, no, then send data to here, and then it'll just do that. It'll just run in the background. I don't know about memory and power and all that stuff. I didn't dig into that. But that's the answer to how that's possible, how that can be. Now, that being said, one thing that hasn't really been addressed by anybody, any of the YouTubers, anything like this, just because you can go 5 kilometers, 25 kilometers, 50 kilometers, doesn't necessarily mean you should. And let me explain that a little bit. Don't feel pressure of having to hit that 50K mark. More specifically, if you're not in a place that you can walk that much or run that much healthily, don't do it. Pace yourself. You got a week to do this, so you don't have to go in one day and just jog 50 kilometers. I can guarantee you most of the people that are playing this can't do a 50-kilometer run or jog in a day. But you have a week. You could probably walk a few here, walk for a few there. It collects all your walking distance, so it's not just going off for a jog or going off for a walk. It's just doing your day-to-day stuff. Turn off the game when you go shopping. Have it in your pocket. Run errands, do laundry, go visit a friend, play basketball, go climb, go for a hike, do what you normally do, and just have your phone and the game off at all times, and then you'll be able to collect all that distance. Then if you're running short, then you go for a walk or run. But I hate to see someone says, oh, I got 2 days, I gotta walk 25 kilometers now, and I'm gonna miss out. Okay, you may miss out, but what are you missing out on? Yes, you may get a 10K, maybe, depending on how the eggs are in your inventory, which that really, niantic, you need to overhaul this. You need to be able to trade or get rid of eggs. Just have that ability. In fact, trade or junk, anything in your inventory. If you don't need it, don't want it, get rid of it. If you don't want an egg, and you can be all humane and say you're not getting rid of it, you're not throwing away an egg, you're just giving it back to the professor to give to somebody else. Just do it that way. But it needs to be done because there's once you get an egg, it stays in there and you're either forced to hatch it or just sticks there, and that needs to change because it's ridiculous. How advanced the game is now, that should be an easy update, an easy fix. Okay, on to further news. I haven't seen anything beyond the updates for the Cindastones. But that's all I have to say. Unfortunately, I was only able to get one shiny Cubone. I was not able to get a shiny Ponyta. I was able to get one shiny Pinsir, one shiny Gengar. And you know me, I'm good with that. I don't have to have 10 of them like everybody else does. It would be nice to get one shiny Ponyta just because of the cool color look. But if anybody wants to trade, just leave me a comment and I'll trade what I have. I'm not one for getting lots of rares. But that being said, if I can actually negotiate going on to Florida, that may change things. So hit me up. And on other news, more of my channel thing, I'm going to add my description for the 200 sub special, but it's going to run for a week. So you have until Sunday to vote. And the details of why you have to do is in that video, so I'm not going to go into that too much. Anyways, thank you for joining, for listening to me. Hopefully you're having a good time playing the game. If you have any suggestions, tell me about what you would like to see Pokemon Go. Now I know PvP is a given, but what are the things you would like to see in the game? Multiple move sets, multiple charge sets, being able to control the attacks, defense, throwing different items. You know, shoot them at me. I'm curious to see what you have to say. So the next thing that's coming up is Cyndaquil Community Day. That should be fun. Don't know if I'm going to stream. No, I'm probably not going to stream it because even if I go to the other spot, the undeniably unreliable internet always causes issues. You've seen my streams; it always bounces in and out. It's just beyond my control. It's just there's a lot of dead zones in the area. They don't efficiently cover the Wi-Fi coverage there. So I may just record it and update it and edit and all that fun stuff. Anyways, thank you for stopping by. Hopefully you're having a good, beautiful day. Enjoy, go for a walk, turn off the phone, which is kind of funny. To play a game, you actually have to turn off the phone. So, catch you guys later. Leave comments, subscribe, say hi, do a lot of fun things. Thank you, and welcome, Rockstars. I have to add this little addendum, just because there's some additional news that's going to be time sensitive and kind of quick compared to the community day and what's coming up. At November 11th at 12:01 Pacific time, midnight, they are going to remove the research reward encounter stacking ability. Basically to make room for more things to come. Basically, they're going to be adding more options in that window, so to speak. Now, what's important to you about this, and I know a lot of bigger YouTubers do this, a lot of them stack their research rewards in the left, like they have a lot of them pending, and that's not actually a supported feature in the game. It's actually something that just happened to not get fixed. It's one of those happy accidents that because they never really tested this out specifically, it works, but it's not actually part or functionality of the game. So they're going to be patching that and fixing that, and that's why they actually announced that, because they know a lot of people do this and they didn't see any harm in it. Like, well, a lot of people are just stacking their research rewards. It's not crashing the game, it's not causing any problem with the servers, not causing any problem in the game, in the traffic between the game and the servers. So they just kind of let it go until they had a patch to fix it. So they're going to be rolling it out on midnight, November 11th. What that means for you is if you have stacked rewards, clear them out before November 11th because they'll be gone. Now, how to do that efficiently? Just go through like all the berries, just collect them all. The catches, you'll probably, if you don't remember what the catches are, unfortunately, it's all going to be on this rollout. Well, what I mean by that is if you had saved one from several iterations ago, it's not going to be effective for that, I believe, until it's just going to be effective for now. I'm not 100% positive on that part, but you're just going to have to go through and hopefully you won't ruin or miss out on whatever you were saving it for, which you really shouldn't be saving for anyways, because you're missing out on items and all that other stuff. Now, also on Community Day, it was suddenly released in the Asia Pacific, APAC, and there were some delays and server issues. More specifically, with getting access to the game, spinning stops, etc., where you would spin a stop and would go on forever. I'm just going to say that it took a while for it to actually clear, and it caused so much disruption in the gameplay that they extended the Community Day for additional 2 hours for only Asia Pacific only. So it's not going to affect East Coasters, West Coasters, or Americas, or any other locations, just Asia Pacific. Unfortunately, they seem to be the inadvertent test bed for the continuous rollouts. That being said, just watch very carefully for the first few minutes of the game. It's probably going to go smoothly like every other community day here, but you never know. Now, one other issue that you need to be aware of, that they're turning off iOS 9 support on November 12th, 2018. So in 2 days, they're going to be turning off iOS 9 for Pokemon Go, which what that means for you is if you play it on a platform, you're not going to be able to. So you may be able to play it, but any new additional patches or rollouts won't be available or usable for that platform. Now it may run, it may execute, but they can't guarantee fixes for us. In other words, they can't guarantee that it's going to not cause an issue. And one other key aspect that a lot of people are assuming that Cyndaquil is going to have a shiny form. And I've been going, and I noticed it mentioned in Pokemon Go Hub, it's in there. But if you look at Niantic's Pokemon Go Community Day News, it doesn't actually specifically say in the Twitter of a shiny form for Cyndaquil or its variations. There's a lot of assumptions, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be, but we can't assume that. Now, what's more important, and a lot of people may not realize this, that they are continuing the extended 1 hour evolution for the new moveset. So you still have the 3 hours to catch and then 1 additional hour to evolve, so you don't have to rush. It is confirmed from the news that you will have 1 hour extra after the community event to evolve Cyndaquil, and that's from the news update on the game. Now, as I mentioned before, I haven't seen anything here yet that actually specifically says shiny. It says features. Cyndaquil will appear more frequently in the wild. Lure modules will last 3 hours for the duration of the event. Evolve Kulava up to 1 hour after the event to obtain Typhlosion that know the fire type move Blast Burn. So there's a spelling error. Bonus 2 times catch XP, 2 times catch Stardust. We can't wait to see you out there. Trainers, stay safe and happy exploring. It still hasn't said anything specifically about shiny form. Now, a lot of people are assuming, and there may be data out there that there is, and Pokemon Go Hub has it, but in Niantic's support page and Pokemon community, there hasn't been anything specifically said about shinies under Niantic. So I'm just warning you ahead of time. So there you have it. You have the community, you have the increased amounts of Cyndaquil, the Stardust 6 times, and for weather boosted location 7.5 times, and that's with the star piece and everything else. That's a lot. So this is your time. If you're running low on Stardust, rack it up and stack it. So there you go. That's the little additional news. So I won't specifically say that there'll be shinies available, even though a lot of people are saying it and a lot of people assuming. And Pokemon Go Hub has said that it might be in the code might be in there, but it isn't specifically under Niantic. I'm going to stick to that until I actually see an official release form, or we just see it. If we just see it in the wild, then it could be an oversight that maybe they're just assuming that everyone knows there's going to be shinies at this point, and that you just take it from there. But Niantic did not specifically say it in any of their posts. So hope for the best. If you see one, great, share it, and hopefully we all can catch shinies. But don't anticipate it. Just enjoy it if it happens, but don't anticipate it. All right, I'm just gonna tack it on to this video and put it out there. Thank you. Stop by if you're new. Please subscribe if you think this is helpful. I will try to do news in different locations. I don't always do it in the same office, but there you go. Catch you later. Bye.